What's up, people? I'm back. What are you doing? Looking out the window to see if it's gonna rain? Out playing the garden? Don't tell me you're taking dumb Snapchat pictures and posting them with your tongue sticking out or half of your face or maybe one eyeball. I hope not. But anyway, here we go. Today we're going to talk about circumference in reverse, people. So I got a couple of jokes to get you started like always. So the first question is, where did the pizza toppings want to go visit on vacation? Where did the pizza toppings want to go visit on vacation? The Leaning Tower of Pisa. The Leaning Tower of Pisa. Alright. Don't know if they'd want to go there now. A lot of people sick in Italy. Alright, second question. What topping do carpenters put on their pizza? What topping do carpenters put on their pizza? Sausage. Get it? Sausage. I know you like that one. Okay, let's review our circumference vocabulary words real fast. Are you ready? All right, well, that would be, like the crust of the pizza, since we're talking about pizza up here in these questions. The crust, the edge, around the outside. Okay, and of course, if it's going around, rotate, that kind of thing. So all those words, if you see those words right there, people, if you see those words, those are going to mean you're talking about the circumference of the circle. All right, and real fast, we're going to review the circumference formula. So we got two of them. The main one we use is pi times diameter. Okay, pi times diameter is the main one, and then the other one that we would use would be pi times 2 radiuses. Okay, because if you got two radiuses is equivalent to the diameter. Okay, don't forget that. All right. So in today's lesson, we're going to talk about how to do circumference in reverse, because on some of these problems you're getting ready to have later on here, it's going to give you the circumference like in this problem. And well, there's another one. There'll be more. I thought there was another one on here. But that's going to give you the circumference, and you're going to have to work backwards to find out what the parts are, the diameter and the radius. So let's do a couple of these. Let's say that you know the circumference of your pizza, okay? Or it'll say something about, the crust or something like that. So let's say you've got a pizza crust, and the crust is 112.8 inches, okay? And you know that of course, is the circumference, okay? If it's talking about the crust, 112.8 inches. All right? So if you know that is the circumference, that would be, this formula, pi times diameter. You would take that number, put it right there where it says circumference. All right, and that of course equals pi times diameter. So to figure out what the diameter is, of course you got to divide by pi. And what number do we know pi is? Well, we're going to divide by 3.14. So that means, of course, you'd come over here and divide by 3.14. All right, so that means those will cancel out. We haven't done much stuff with equations lately. But, whatever you do on one side of the equation, you got to do on the other. So then we would take our trusty little calculator here, and we're going to do 112 divided by pi. Okay, 112.8 divided by pi, which is 3.14. And that means that the diameter of that, if we go, that would be 35 and 92 hundredths, because that's a 3 right there in the thousandths place. All right, so now we know the diameter. And if we want to know what the radius is, of course, we just take that number right there and divide it by 2. And if you take that and divide it by 2, that will tell you the radius. So we'll just do 35 and 92 hundredths divided by 2. And that means the radius would be 17 and 96 hundredths. And we're just going to leave it going to the hundredths place for a second. And I'm just going to go through all that, and then we'll talk about what it would be to the tenths place. Okay. So again, take your circumference, okay, divide it by pi, and when you take the circumference and divide it by pi, that gives you the diameter, okay? So that's that. Now, to go from the diameter to the radius, you just take the diameter and divide it by 2. So I'm going to draw a little picture up here. So remember, the diameter is the one that goes all the way across the circle. So if you take and cut that in half, all right, what would be that? That would, that would be the radius on that side, or that would be the radius on that side. So just take the diameter, divide it by 2, and that would give you the radius, which is 17 and 96 hundredths. Now, if it asks you to round these to the nearest tenth, okay, this to the nearest tenth would be 35 and 9/10 because there's a 2 there. If you rounded this to the nearest tenth, that's a 6, so that would round all that up, and that means the radius would actually be 18 if it asked you to round it to the nearest tenth. Okay? Alright, so there's that one. Now, let's say you have another item. Let's say you've got, let's say you've got the tire. Okay, you got a tire on your bicycle, or you got a tire on your car, or a tire on your motorcycle, or whatever it is, okay? And they tell you that the circumference of that is, let's say it's 246 centimeters. Okay, 246 centimeters. Now again, that's all the way around the tire, okay? 246 centimeters. That would be one time all the way around. So again, we're going to do, of course, pi times diameter. We know the circumference is 246. We know pi is 3.14. Alright, so I put the circumference in there for C. I know pi is 3.14. Now I'm going to divide both sides by pi, which is 3.14 there. Going to divide by 3.14 there. Those two, of course, cancel out because that equals 1. So now I'm going to bring my trusty little calculator over here and do the circumference, which is 246, divided by pi. And that would give me a diameter of 78 and 34 hundredths. Again, since there's a 3 right there in the thousandths place, you're not going to round that up, so it'd be 78 and 34 hundredths. I did the circumference divided by pi. Alright, again, to get the radius, you just take half of that number, so just take that number right there and divide it by 2. Okay, going to divide that in half. So 78 and 34 hundredths divided by 2 gives me 39 and 17 hundredths. 39 and 17 hundredths. Alright, let's talk about these two again to the nearest tenth. Okay, so if I was going to do the diameter to the nearest tenth, it would be 78.3 or 78 and 3/10 because there's a 4 there, and I would just chop that off. If I was going to round this to the nearest tenth, the radius, that would be 39 and 2/10 because that 7 would round that up to a 2. Okay, so again, take the circumference and divide it by pi. Take the circumference and divide it by pi. That gives you the diameter. Take the diameter, divide it by 2. That gives you the radius. Alright, gonna make this one a quick lesson today. So let's do one more real fast. Let's take a look here, and let me see. I got one coming up, I think, in the next assignment. Let me get flipped over here. Oh yeah, let's see. Okay, let's say we've got one like this. Let's say you have got, I'll put this down to number 7, Ferris wheel. Okay, let's say you've got a model Ferris wheel, and you know, if let's say the circumference or all the way around it was 247.83 inches. If you measured all the way around it, okay, all the way around, you got the Ferris wheel there, right? Think about it going around. If you went around at one time, all the way around, rotated it around, it's a little model, 247.83 inches. So again, I know my formula is pi times diameter. I'm going to take that number, put it in for circumference right here. 247 and 83 hundredths equals 3.14 times the diameter. I'm going to divide by pi on both sides. Okay. Again, those cancel out because 3.14 divided by 3.14 is just 1. So now I've got 247.83, 247 and 83 hundredths divided by pi. That would give me my diameter of 78.926. Alright, so since there's a 6 right there, okay, that means that's going to round up to a 3. Alright, so 78 and 93 hundredths. If I want to know what the radius is, you got to take half of that, or you divide it by 2. And let's do 78 and 93 hundredths divided by 2. And that would give you 39. And again, since there's a 5 there in the thousandths place, we're going to round that up. Okay, if it's 5 or higher, round that up. So that's 47 hundredths. Okay, if it asks you to go to the tenths place, this one would be 78.9 if you went to the nearest tenths place, because there's a 3 there and you don't round up. here on the radius. Since there's a 7 there in the hundredths place, that does mean you'd round that up. So to the nearest tenth, that would be 38.5 because of that 7 right there. Okay. All right, people. So remember, the vocabulary words are crust, edge, outside, and rotate. Crust, edge, outside, and rotate. So when you see those words, okay, that means it's a circumference problem. Our basic formula we've been talking about here is pi times diameter. So make sure you take the circumference. If you need to work it in reverse, if they give you the circumference, divide it by pi. That gives you the diameter. And then you're going to divide that by 2 to get the radius. Okay? And if they need to round to the nearest tenth, you got to check that number in the hundredths place to make sure and see if you're going to round it correctly or not. Okay? So, hope you're doing all right. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Okay? Get some exercise.